begin what's trending with reactions trailing the decision made or the recommendation made by the National Economic Council to dump the National Social Register compiled under former President Muhammadu Buhari for lacking credibility. The council, after a 5-hour meeting led by Vice President Kashim Shettima at the State House on Thursday, proposed the implementation of a cash transfer program for states based on their social registers and a cash reward policy for public servants for 6 months. While speaking with journalists, the governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, said the so-called National Register lacked integrity and that any national or federal programs as such should be delivered via the constituent government.
At the council today, there was almost near unanimity among members that there is a big question mark about the integrity of the so-called National Social Register. People have questions about how those names in the register were brought about. The integrity test is what is missing with that register. This is stress testing it, and we think that we need to go back to the drawing board. And if you are delivering any such national or federal program from Abuja, it needs to be delivered via the constituent governments that are there at the roots, and each will now generate using their own formal and informal mechanisms to generate a register that is comprehensive, that is, meets certain criteria that you can stress test, and you can call out the people in the village, and everybody will confirm that these are the vulnerable people.
Very great ideas. But, Nigerians have reacted. This is from Adebayo, who wrote, so what happens to the trillions of naira that has been shared using this register? How do we trace them? Who do we hold responsible? Buhari? What's next after knowing it lacks credibility? So many questions, man. Then Obiajuli wrote, so heads should be rolling from the last administration, yes? Because children were fed while there was lockdown around the world during COVID, and transfers allegedly made to the poorest of humans. If you can't bring them to book, then it's nothing. Well, another person called for the arrest of the Humanitarian Affairs Minister, Sadia Umaru Farouk, and that, a serious government would have arrested her because the fraud occurred under her ministry. This is Urel. He wrote, arrest the humanitarian minister. Ayo, I'm coming to you. I don't know if you saw that breakdown by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs only in April, showing concrete data. It appeared to be concrete data. So what happened?
Yes, that's a big question. What happened? Yes. So before we go forward in terms of, let's move it to the subnationals in terms of the implementation of the investment infrastructure fund or the conditional cash transfer through government. Let's look back at what happened with the previous National Social Register, which the governors are now saying lacked integrity. At that NEC meeting, there were some governors who are serving their second term. Why didn't they speak out in the first, during the last administration?
Yes.
When the government said that they had, because they helped in developing the names on that register, why didn't they cry out at that time? Why is it convenient under a new administration or when you're at different points to then say, that lacked integrity? We need to also question those governors who are serving their second term who didn't speak out during the time. Kudos to Professor Soludo now, who is saying, speaking from that next to say that, let it be implemented because they have a better picture and a better grasp of the people that they're working with and are able to confirm the names on the register. And earlier on, I'd said that even beyond the governors, let's go down, even further down to the local government, because they are not ghosts. If money was paid, we should be able to identify people who benefited from the National Social Register and the conditional cash transfer in the last administration, unfortunately. Yes. And the importance of investigating the previous administration is to avoid a future occurrence. When we're speaking about the Abia State governor saying that he had been able to identify ghost workers, over 2,000 on their database, what people were saying that was good, but the next step was to investigate who were they paying money to. I bring that example to bear here because it's the same thing with what's going on now. What happens usually is that when there are cases like, that didn't work, people don't know who was giving money, investigations are not concluded. So there's no punishment. So it means that I was saying yesterday, the punishment for bad behavior is just let's sweep it under the carpet, let's say we are sorry and let's move on. No, we can't continue to move on. We need to investigate what really happened.
Yes.
It was under this same party, APC, and where those monies went to. And if there's anyone who is culpable, let them be put to the book.
Absolutely. Heads must roll. Dr. Abati.
Well, let's just look at what the knowledge base on this matter is. I was citing the point earlier on that Yowa Akpera, that's the name of the coordinator of what is called the National Social Safety Net Coordination Office, NACOS, which was established in 2016. His job was to manage the process and to ensure the collation of data and all of that. And it was in that process that Nigeria came up with the National Social Register. That social register is an aggregate of registers prepared by the states.
By the state governors.
Through their ministries of planning in the states. And then the federal government took it with the assistance of the World Bank and...
Hello and welcome to the channel. In related news, a development expert and co-founder and chief executive officer of Global Initiative for Nigeria Development, GIND, has advised Nigerians to look up to their governors for palliatives meant to cushion the effect of economic hardship incurred by the removal of fuel subsidy. Ale, while speaking with journalists in Ibadan yesterday, also expressed the commitment of his organization to monitor the disbursement of the palliatives to poor Nigerians so as to ensure that the process adheres to principles of transparency and accountability. He clarified that his organization's resolve to monitor the disbursement was meant to ensure that the palliatives promised poor Nigerians by the federal government in order to cushion the effect of economic hardship brought by the fuel subsidy removal is creditably implemented. Promising that GIND will deploy its track and trace technology in monitoring the disbursement, he said, "We will use the same methods to track and trace all projects relating to palliatives whenever the Federation Allocation Account Committee FAAC commences disbursement of the funds to states and local government in the country. Our track and trace volunteers and advocates are being recruited nationwide to monitor and report how palliatives are being utilized through track and trace T&T technological device. The purpose of this is to ensure transparency and credibility in the disbursement process." Ale, who is also the National Coordinator of Courageous Nigerian Livelihood Project, CNLP, praised Nigerians for their perseverance and resilience in this hard time when prices of commodities have skyrocketed due to the hike in fuel prices and dollar, which has brought untold hardship on the citizenry. That's the news, guys. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye.